There's a light rain falling today, blurring the edges of the backyard while I work on screening in this porch. It was supposed to just be a weekend home improvement project, a way to build a little outdoor sanctuary. But looking at this raw timber frame, I realize it's an exact mirror of my life right now. At 39, I am stepping into a late diagnosed neurodivergent journey. For decades, it felt like I lived completely open to the elements. No filter, no barrier, just a nervous system constantly flooded by a world that felt entirely too loud. When you're an unsupported kid trying to survive a neurotypical environment, the adults tend to give you labels. Difficult, too sensitive, the family scapegoat. I carried a lifetime of unearned shame, thinking I was just fundamentally bad at being human. When you carry that kind of shame, you learn how to build a different kind of barrier. Not a screen to protect yourself, but a mask to hide behind. You spend decades frantically studying everyone else, trying to figure out the invisible rules of engagement. You force your brain to run 1,000 background programs just to mimic the balance that seems to come so naturally to everyone else. It is a slow, invisible burn. It's the exhaustion of performing a version of yourself that can survive the noise, while the real you is buried underneath, completely suffocated. That's what makes this moment. Standing here in the quiet with this wood and this mesh feels so monumental. I am finally starting to peel back the layers of that performance. Discovering my neurodiversity isn't about fixing something that was broken. It's about discovering why the fit was always wrong. It's looking at the raw, unfiltered truth of my mind and deciding that it deserves a space where it doesn't have to fight so hard just to exist. So today the work is slow. The rain is washing away the old labels, and I'm getting ready to secure something permanent. Every single strike of that staple gun felt like a quiet act of reclamation. I'm realizing that I'm not just stretching mesh across timber today. I am actively weaving the physical and emotional boundaries my nervous system has always begged for. For a long time, I thought boundaries meant building a solid wall, closing myself off entirely from a world that felt too intense. But a screen is a beautiful thing. It lets the fresh air pull through. It lets the natural light stream in, but it filters out the chaos. It keeps the things that drain me from biting. I am the architect of my own peace now, and I finally get to decide what gets filtered out and what gets to stay safe inside with me. By the time the light started fading this afternoon, the screen wasn't completely finished. There are still open gaps, entirely exposed to the weather and the wind. A few months ago, leaving a project incomplete like this would have made my chest tight with anxiety. It would have felt like a failure to finish the job. But today, it feels like the most honest metaphor possible for where I am. My official assessment appointments are coming up in July. The paperwork isn't signed, the porch isn't done, and the blueprint is still being drawn. I am intentionally learning how to be entirely okay with existing in the in-between. Healing doesn't happen in a fast-forward montage, and clarity doesn't need to be rushed just to be real. For 39 years, I've been running on pure survival mode, frantically trying to catch myself from falling over and over. Now, I'm finally building a life where I can stop catching myself and just learn how to land on my own terms.